Trade Talk, powered by Travis Perkins.
Hello and welcome to Trade Talk. This is a podcast for anybody who's in the trade or thinking about starting in the trade. Joining me today is Carl and Jake. Guys, if you'd like to introduce yourselves.
Hello, Sally. Good to see you again. Yes, my name is Carl Conway. I have a building company, KLC Builders, in South Manchester.
Hi Sally again, my name's Jake Keenan and I'm a branch manager at Travis Perkins.
And I am your host, Sally Wallace, and I am the wife of a gentleman in the trade. I have been the wife of a tradie now for 15 years, and I'm still smiling, and I can drive almost every van going, which actually we'll touch upon in today's episode. But today it is a bit of a miserable day where we are. It is raining, but of course, if you are on the tools at the moment, you will be working, no doubt, because it's definitely an industry where come rain or come shine, you've got to work, which is pretty much right. Is that the way, Carl?
It is. It's very hard. Certain trades that you do, let's look at the groundworks, building, bricklaying. If it's raining, you've had it. You can't do anything unless you've got a shelter above you. You can get big scaffolds with big roofs on it, but it's big money as well to cover you. But yeah, usually when you're doing the outside work, if the rain stops you're all sat in the Portaloo toilet or the cabin. That's it.
You can't be a
first come, first serve.
I was going to say, you just cannot be a fair weather tradie, can you? It's not something you can think, I think I'll work in the tools this summer and then stop it for the winter. It's just one of those, it's literally a skill and a trade that you have to do constantly regardless. Yeah. And like you said, I suppose if you're a roofer as well, a rainy day or even the ice and the cold is just something where I suppose you've got to do it, haven't you, really? At some point, you've got to get up there, regardless of whether it's freezing cold or not.
The safety aspect has got to be there. But it is to do with, like, if it's raining and you've got a sand cement mix there, if the rain hits, it just runs down the wall. It's just going to ruin it. So you'll spend more time cleaning it. So it's a matter of just covering up and waiting. So, some trades you get away with. You can, if you're doing roofing, as long as you're safe on whatever scaffold you're on, you can place a tile. It doesn't affect the materials. So some things you get a little bit of work out of, but most of the time, it's just a waiting, and which then can delay your next job with time.
Being a builder's wife, we've had our fair share of renovations. In fact, we've got one which is imminent as I speak. But on our old house that we renovated, we did an extension on the side of it. And I'll never forget, I was doing really early mornings. And I was coming back from my job at about 10:30, 11 o'clock. And I knew that the roofers were arriving. I knew that the roofers were going to be on site that day. And as I'm pulling up outside the house, there's 2 police cars parked outside my house, to which I thought, I've been burgled, like this. But it wasn't. It was the roofers were waiting for the rain to pass to go, and they basically were just sat in the extension. So they were just sat in the extension having a brew, helping themselves just out from the rain, and somebody in the neighbourhood watch had called the police because they knew that I was on an early. And as I turn up, it goes, that's her there. That's me boss's wife, like this. And I was like, is there a problem? We just thought that these people were squatting or that they're up to no good. I was like, no, bless them, because they're all wearing the fair, like the rainy weather gear, and they probably look like they're all like with their hoods up and everything. They might look a little bit ruffian, but yeah, they almost got arrested for just from hiding from the rain, which is great. Actually, it's a conversation that actually it's a story that I've told many times, but there's a certain level of banter that needs to happen, I think, on every site. And to be fair, in any workplace, you have to have that certain element of banter. But the trade is renowned for banter. I mean, Jake, even though you're working for a company, you must still have that element of banter with your team.
Yeah, I think even though Travis Perkins is a professional PLC company, there's in-house in the branches is astronomical amounts of banter, whether that be between staff or themselves or the builders coming in. We see most of the builders as more friends and family rather than clients and customers. We know them on personal levels. We know what they do at the weekend. We know what they do in the evenings. We know who the wives are, who the children are. It's just that good connection between us, and it helps drive a lot of personality traits within the branch, which brings out a lot of conversations and banter together.
It can build confidence as well, because when you're having a laugh, you feel more relaxed, and it's almost like you enjoy your job. You enjoy going to work, and there's there's that old-fashioned saying, if you're laughing every day, you're not really working, are you? You're just getting paid to have fun, and isn't that great? And then, Carl, obviously, on the flip side of things, there's no HR department where you are, is there? There's no PLC where you are.
No. It's a different league of people that work on a building site. You have to be not take things personal. You've got to have a laugh, whether you give it back or not. But there's always someone, you'll be listening to the radio 1 minute and then sending him for a long stand the next minute, and then see how that goes. There's plenty of things. But yeah, you've got to have a laugh. That's what makes it. You've got to enjoy your job and the people that you work with.
I know for a fact that my name has been dragged through the mud a few times on site, where one of the lads has gone, hang on a minute, Scott, I've got to go because your wife's calling me. Sorry. And then to the response of, it's all right, I saw your missus at lunch. So the banter can get a little bit close to the mark sometimes.
Yes.
So like you said, you can't take anything personal, can you?
Not at all.
And of course, especially with young people that are coming into the trade, even my husband said this, you don't want to scare them off.
Yeah. It's a good balance that we get involved with. People know limits, and certain customers that come in don't get involved with banter.
That's exactly
absolutely
it.
fine as well. We'll speak to them in a different term of manner, but when your mate Tim, the builder, comes down the road and you've known Tim for 10 years, you're going to laugh and joke with him behind the doors, and it's a good environment to be in.
Yeah, and honestly, I wouldn't mind getting a call from some of the lads that work for my husband any day. It's okay, I know he's not listening, it's fine.
I mean, just to keep everyone going, if you've got a lot of working lads and you've got a lot of work going on, it's always best to sometimes just take that day and have a special day, take them out, just any problems, have a talk about it, and it gets things off the chest, rather than if there is a problem, rather than bottling it all up, then you can deal with it and sort it out. And it's usually with either young apprentices coming in and not doing as they're told. Obviously you don't want that argument between two tradesmen. They need to come to you so you can sort it out as a middleman.
Absolutely. And you know what, that's really great that you've said that, because that's something that I think I know for a fact that with my husband and his business, he's really aware of that, and it's okay to have those conversations. It's good to have those conversations because you're just kind of letting everybody know what's going on. Do you know what I mean? And it's just keeping everybody aware. But I do think that it is wonderful to keep laughing, and that's the one thing that I think is so. I mean, some of the jokes that I've heard and some of the things that go on site, I find it hilarious. I do. But it's not like one person's been singled out. It's not that kind of banter. It's almost like a group banter, and I think that's pretty priceless, really, isn't it?
Always the apprentice gets it first, though, isn't it? It's always you've got to get them.
Listen, I have actually been on the tools once. I did it once when we were having our own extension. We were having a knock through, and the lad that was the apprentice at the time didn't turn up. So I actually had to go on the wheelbarrow for the whole day to clear these bricks where they were doing this big knock through. And Scott was hilarious. He goes, right, love, Sal, I'm going to give you my boots because I've got quite big feet. Right, he goes, just put some extra socks on, you'll be all right. And then I want you to take that wheelbarrow up that. I mean, pushing a wheelbarrow up a ramp is a challenge in itself, and when it's full of bricks, then you've got to tip it through a bay window to get to the skip. Was horrendous, but I did do it. I did it, and I mean, by the end of it, my nickname was Steve-O. It made me feel very unsexy. I still had mascara on the whole time.
I hope you've got decent nails. I don't know how you've got them.
Oh, I don't have my nails done. I've got dogs and kids. I don't have my nails done. But all he said, take your ring off, love. Take your ring off. Forget your wellies on. Here you go, Sal. Put these gloves on. My gloves were enormous, like these canvas things. They look like a scuba suit, like the old-fashioned like deep diving suit. Yeah, it wasn't a great day. I did look like Gollum on the sofa at the end of it, like meh. But the laughs that we had at my expense. But you know what? I'm a big believer in if you can't laugh at yourself first, what's the point? But it was just fantastic. It really, really was good fun. One thing I really want to touch upon today in today's episode is pricing jobs. And I think this is quite an interesting subject. And that is especially when you've just got started in the trade, how do you go about pricing a job? Is there any sort of anything that you can utilise nowadays where it can help you estimate a job or estimate your materials? I don't know whether this is something that you've experienced, Carl, and how do you price your jobs?
Yeah, well, I always say to people that phone me straight away is speak to a builder first to get an approximate price of what you're thinking of doing for your job. And if that works on their prices in their budgets, then the next stage is to go to an architect to get some drawings so you've got it in black and white of what you want to do. From there on, once you've got the drawings, most people will be pretty much entertained on pricing it for you. If you haven't got any drawings, I think they're kind of thinking you're still in that guessing stage and wondering stage, are you going to do the job? They don't want to waste too much time. So when you've got a set of drawings and you've done your homework with the builder before on that price, then you can go to someone like Travis Perkins that will take your drawings from you and then price all the materials and the labour for you, and then obviously come back with a price. You can alter it or add on to it, whatever you want. As a general rule, if you've not gone for a pricing system, let's say you're thinking of an extension, you're looking at the floor space. When I talk about this, the internal floor space, you're measuring per metre of how many metres is in that floor space, and then generally around about £1,500 to £2,000 as a metre. So that would give you an average cost of the build for the outside shell. If you're going to price anything like a chimney to be put in, Velux windows, or you want bigger windows like folding, then you're kind of adding them on. So as a meterage, you can look around £1,500 to £2,000, and that would give you a guess. But generally, I would go to Travis and just say, there's my drawings, how much would all the materials cost, and then work out what they say with the labour against my labour.
Is that something that you provide then, is it, Jake?
Yeah, so we offer an in-house estimating service.
Oh, right.
There's a charge for that. Different size of builds, all depends. Are you having a single story extension, you have a double wraparound, are you having a new build? But yeah, if as soon as you got your drawings and your plans, or even before then as well, you can always pop in and we'll disclose a couple of prices with you. We'll work with your builder and we'll try and get you the best rate as possible.
Well, this is going to be something that can get a little bit sticky, I can imagine, is when you've actually given a price to a customer and then you've started the job and they've started changing things. They've changed windows, they've changed, and that in itself must be a challenge, but also for yourself, Jake, because then you've got to reevaluate things as well. So how do you overcome that hurdle?
Well, it's having it in black and white, isn't it?
Right.
You know, let's say you look at each section that's priced from the building to the bathroom to the electrics. If you're looking at the bathroom and then suddenly each in the suite section, you're looking at the sink and the sink's put in for £100, but yet you've seen something with gold taps and you want to change it. Well, you're just deducting that £100. You've got the price there already. You can see it yourself. It's not like you've gone to the builder and said, how much did you put in? And he's just gone, oh, I only put 30 quid in. So you're only deducting £30. So it kind of keeps you informed. You've done your own homework by having this system done. Whether there's a small charge on having it done, I would always recommend getting everything in black and white. So any changes, it makes it so much easier.
So when you're pricing for a customer, do you always have an estimate? You always literally, you will literally list everything then. So it is physical for them to see.
I don't do it without, to be honest. I won't just give a letterhead and say, listen, that's going to be £60,000 for your extension and you get that and that and that. I like to have everything down so that, one, it helps with stage payments as well by getting this done. So if you're having the bathroom done, you can pay for the bathroom only, and you know that you're not giving a builder, say, £20,000 when he's asking for it. You're just looking at that stage payment and you're going, okay, the bathroom suite's 5,000-6,000.
And so for anybody who's just starting out in the trade at the moment, regardless of whether they're bricklaying or plasterer, that's something that you would massively be an advocate of, is make sure that you put a breakdown of everything on your invoice. Yeah. I suppose then it's really for your own protection then, isn't it, as a tradesman, is that you've got something to refer to when it does come to that payment time, or if they are making amendments, at least you've got a record of it as well.
It also puts down for material quantities. Yeah, that's right. It's just literally every section is telling you how many bricks, how many sand, how many cement that you're actually going to buy, and each one's got their own individual price. And let's say, for instance, you're looking at the doors. They might say, right, well, your front door is going to cost you £300, and then the next stage might be the labour side, and to fit that door could be £150. But what they'll do is they'll give you the accurate material price to that date of whatever you've priced it at. But on the material side, on the labour side of it, you'll be given a 10% rise and fall, because not everyone's labour is the same. Some might go a little bit cheaper to get the job. Some might think they're a bit more to detail to the job and then might put that on. So it gives you that little bit of rise and fall on the labour, but overall it should give you a proposed price of what you should be paying. In my eyes, if you're spending anything over £20,000-30,000, just get it in black and white. If you're having a little job where you're just skimming the walls, no problem at all. You can go to whoever, a one-man band, and just say, how much is that going to cost you? There's no really interruption with any changes.
See, this is interesting, isn't it? It's like with regards to the advertising side of things, and you just said if you're a one-man band and you're just skimming and you're just doing a skim, it's almost like, I mean, obviously nowadays I think there's different apps that you can go onto which can recommend a trade and so on and so forth. But how have you found your best way of getting business? Has it been through word of mouth?
It is word of mouth, building it up over the years and people watching you. So once a job is done on a street, sometimes it's very hard to get out of that area. You seem to stay in it because people like to see what's going on with their own eyes. even though a recommendation can be great, but I've heard recommendations go sour where they've got different lads in, or and they've not done the right job, and they've gone back to that person that's recommended it and gone, well, it was all right at the time that we did it. But people, if they decided to get an extension there and then, they want it more or less going within the next couple of months, unless you're going to wait for that one person that's been recommended, and you will wait for that time until they're ready. But yeah, having the van signed, we did speak about the tools in the van, which is a problem, but having signage on the van is always a good one. Having a board outside is always a good advertisement, but usually it's the customer. Once you've done that one job, they will recommend you, and if it's all gone smoothly, that's the best way of getting it.
Trade Talk, powered by Travis Perkins.
For somebody who is in the trade, you have to think that you are, and I've mentioned this before in other episodes, you've got to be your own marketing department. You're almost your own accountant in some cases as well. You're your own salesman, aren't you? So you're your own salesman, because I can only imagine with certain materials you want to upsell as well, because at the end of the day you don't want to undervalue what your worth is. And I suppose, going back to the pricing element of things, yes, you want to be fair, but at the same time, you need to value your own work. And I think that's what, not just people in the trade, I think people in other aspects of, work can also undervalue themselves.
Yeah.
And maybe that's something that you might have come across as well, where you think, hang on a minute, is that a bit too much? But then surely you have to give yourself that little bit of relief.
Reputation speaks volumes.
There you go.
It does, definitely. And I think, like Carl said, mentioned before, people walking past, it's a massive, just a cleanliness of sites. You can tell 99% of the time a clean site or a visually looking clean from the roadside will speak volumes for the builder. And someone walking past might want an extension next 2 years, and they'll remember the sign outside, they'll remember Carl's name, and they think, I'm going to give him a call.
Yeah, they do.
No one's recommended him, but what I've liked what his work, I've seen his work. People like to see what they're getting.
You'd be
built.
amazed. They'll knock on the door and just say, "How was your builders? How did it go?" They're not afraid of knocking on the door now and seeing a job and asking how it went. That's the best advertisement really that you're going to get.
That's so true. People liked it. People, when they're buying, regardless of what it is, they want to see it, touch it. I know it sounds crazy, but they do. They want to see it and touch it, which is so true.
Car without going and seeing it, would you?
Absolutely.
If you spend $100,000 on a triple extension, you're going to want to see what this build has been done previously, whether that be on Facebook or it be online.
Most things is online now, isn't it? They're going to want something, they'll tap it in, they'll put South Manchester, they'll put builder, they'll put where to buy stuff and everything. And from there, because I always ask when people phone us, where did you get us from? And some people just go the internet. And I do YouTube videos occasionally, which probably pushes me up a bit because I don't really spend a great fortune on the advertisement on the internet, but yet there is a lot of people coming through. And to me, it's a stab in the dark. But when people meet you, without being too crude on it, as long as you don't give you don't give BS out, people realise that they're confident with you, they're happy for you, again, to take them keys to your house and work while they're away. So it's a big thing.
It's huge. It's absolutely huge, because at the end of the day, it's your reputation as well, isn't it? That's what it is. So it's your reputation's at stake here, and this is where certain builders won't recommend certain tradespeople because it'll come back to you at the end of the day as well. So it's it is. And from experience, we had our first home together. My husband renovated it. Then we extended it. I would come home from work and I would find strangers in my kitchen all the time because he used our house as his that was his social media account, because that was what he created. I mean, it was incredible. And to be fair, respect to my husband, is sold within a few days when we put it up on the market. But when I get back to customers they want to test it, they want to have a look at it, touch it and try it. The amount of bums I had on my toilet seats, I'm not joking. I've been getting did you let him have a wee? Have you wiped it down? Oh, for God's sake, I don't know that bloke. He's all right.
Always a Portaloo toilet. If they're not bringing her own toilet, there's something wrong.
Random people using me loo. I was like, oh my God, here we go again.
Customers have to again be stand back, because you're letting all these tradesmen really take over your house, and you're living with them if you're living in the house at the time as it's going on, because some people can't afford to go to hotels and leave it to it does make it a bit quicker and a bit easier by just dropping your tools where you are. But when you've got pets or you've got animals, again, it's the running of the job of how easy you make it and how safe you make it for that family still to be away from the work on one side of the house but live in the other side of the house, and knowing that you've been with them for 6 months, that your head's not spinning because you don't know who's just come through your door. Yeah,
that's so true. That's so true. I've lived through it, and it's sort of waking up in the morning to having 2 skips on your driveway, and they're probably going to be there for a few months, as well as probably some tarpaulin on your roof and a load of scaffolding around your house. And then next minute, you've got 4 vans outside, 4 vans that have just been tucked either on your drive, off your drive, and then your neighbours are going, "It's in front of my drive," and you're like, "Oh God!"
Shouting at each other, yes.
Yeah, and like the vans that can collect up are just unbelievable. But do you know what? I've said this on a couple of episodes before. We are going to talk about vans because vans and the work machines are so important, and they are a crucial part of the trade. Without them, you cannot do your job. And getting a van, it's so many different ways. You can either buy a van, you can either lease a van, and there's different ways. You can either do it through business contract hire, you can do it through personal contract hire, and there's so many different ways of actually acquiring a van. But when you're trying to get yourself started, trying to get that van can be a real challenge, and getting the right van that's going to work for you as well. Do you have a van at the moment, Carl?
We do vans, trailers. They're very, very handy. I mean, you've got your merchants that you could order, and if you're well in time, you can order so many pallets and bricks, and they will drop it wherever they want it. But if you've come across something and you need, say, another 2 big pieces of plasterboard, you can't just get that delivery just there and then. The merchants are that busy, so you've got to book them in. So having the van and having the trailer's okay, but a rainy day it's going to get wet. But having a van to get your stuff in there, it is worth its weight in gold. It is the workhorse. Without that, you're not going anywhere. So you've got to have decent machines and decent van to get you around.
Because you do deliveries, don't you? Travis, you have huge amounts of deliveries that go out.
Yeah, 50% of our work is from deliveries, 50% is collections. So half the business drive is from delivering materials to customers. We have a couple of machines. We have a HIAB. So you have wagons that can carry up to 14 tonne, 13.5 tonne, I think it is, of materials in one trip. So that's half an extension build on there for you, no problem, free of charge as well. We also have Moffats. So, the forklift trucks, that stuff, for the wagons. So the difficult sites, the bigger sites, that need to go to the other side of the site for the pallets, we'll deliver them too. We have small vans for the handy stuff. It's all massive assets to us.
We've been through so many vans in our house. I mean, and when they've broken down, it's been game over. He can't even hold his temper when his van's broken down because he's losing money. That's exactly how he sees it. There's been some choice words that have been used in the past about certain vans. I've got to tell you this. We had an Iveco, like the big long wheelbase Iveco, and it was one of those high ones. It was huge, like a big DPD delivery van. It was manual, which was horrendous as well. But obviously, being a tradie's wife, I'm not opposed to moving a van. I used to have to move the van to get the car out the driveway all the time. This thing didn't even have a handbrake on it at one point. The handbrake was gone and it was massive. But I actually drove it everywhere. I used to drive it everywhere, hence why my trade name is Steve-O, I do believe. I have taken, oh my goodness me, I've had vans. In fact, Scott always used to go, she drives a van better than anyone I know. And I do drive the van very well. But there's actually quite a bit of pleasure driving a van, to be honest. I don't know if you've ever, you obviously do drive a van. What am I about?
You do, you've got good visual.
There's something really nice about driving the van, and I like it. I feel a bit dirty.
Get stuck in.
Yeah, I feel a bit wrong. And I remember we had a really nice transporter van at one point. This is a few years ago. It was a lovely van. In fact, we're back in a transporter at the moment, but I think it's going to get changed. But I can't remember where I was, and somebody was coming towards me in another van, and they did like a kind of hand signal, which looked like it was a bit inappropriate. Potentially like maybe just a finger, or maybe it was something a bit cool that I didn't really get because I'm so not down with the kids, to which I did respond with another finger. Then my phone went, bring, and I was like, oh, husband, what does he want? Pressed it. Solly, why have you just stuck your fingers up at Nick? He was waving at you. He thought you were me. I was like, oh, sorry, I thought he was being rude and so.
Yeah, and everyone seems to get out of your way when you're in a van. You get a nice Porsche next to you, that's it. They don't want to go, so they just leave you to it.
Oh, but they also, when they mistake you for your husband, it's actually not even, it's not exactly a compliment, is it? It really isn't. But you're right then, the van is the workhorse, isn't it? And everything has to go in your van. I think plasterers are renowned for having the dirtiest vans, aren't they?
They are, yeah. I mean, so your van can have so many different things of getting you through a job, which is a shame when something goes wrong and you get people that break into them, because you've got all kinds of repair work. You've got, like, let's say you're a plumber, you've got little fixings that you don't want to go away off the job once you're on it. If you've got a repair to do and you're trying to do it, the quickest you can get that done is money for you. It's time. So if you've got like shelving all inside and it's all prepared and it's all in neat order and you know where everything is, your time scale goes faster, and obviously then your income goes more because you get more jobs done. If you haven't got a certain thing in the van and it's all a mess and you've got plaster everywhere, you just can't use the materials. You've got to go off site and then go and travel an hour or whatever, taking out your day.
You can tell a lot, I think, from somebody's van as well. I mean, you must see this, Jake, when you get loads of when you get tradesmen pull up all the time. You can tell.
Yeah, we've seen multiple. When the lads are loading the vans, obviously in the yard, and they wanted to chuck bags, and the bags are getting caught on the mixers, the bags are getting caught on the still saws, the ribbon ripped open, the sand's going everywhere. But then you've got the opposite end, and the lads that do take care of the vans, and they've got it all racked out with plyboard. They've built themselves. They're pleased. They've got all the new kit hanging off. They've got all these little ideas. The lads are using drainage pipe now to hold the drills in.
Oh,
so
wow.
they pin it to the side of the van. And it's just like it's quite smart actually. And they just drop the little tools in and the sub there on the side.
See,
nice
that's
and
great,
organised.
isn't it?
I'll be doing that later.
Little 42 mil waste pipe they use. So.
See, this is it. So it's like I think your van is your shop window in some sense as well, because when people do see your van, they'll sort of judge you on your skill. I know that sounds a bit bad, but listen, it's human nature to judge. That's what we do. It's natural. We just judge people. But if you see somebody with a decent van, or like you say, well kitted out van, you think, hang on a minute, this person's good at what they're doing. Yeah. They're clean, because everybody wants a clean tradesman in the house, don't they? But then you've also got, let's just be honest, that level of British mindset of, oh, he drives a nice van, he must charge too much. Yes. So where do you get that middle ground, really? It's almost like you want to look like you're the business, but then at the same time, your customers, that's why my husband never goes to price a job in the car. Never goes to price a job in the car, because if you drive a clean car, doesn't matter what it is, as long as it's a nice clean car, you'll get judged on it straight away. So then you'll get that customer going, oh, he's going to rip me off here, he's going to charge me too much, instead of thinking, this guy's good at what he does, I'm going to get the best job ever. Yeah. So I suppose it's one of those catch-22. Yeah, it is. It's like having a bit of a balance. But kitted out vans, I mean, I know there's a lot of people that can get quite excited about vans, to be fair, isn't there?
Yes. You spend your life in them moving around, don't you?
Well, and now they have air conditioning in vans, which is like a lifesaver, to be honest with you, because it's like a sweat box in certain vans. It can just be horrendous.
Yeah, it's also like the lads' offices as well.
Yeah.
So they eat the lunch in there, they drive to and from work in there, they're around the merchants in there. So it's a good asset to have, definitely. Roof racks are something that I can't stand, and I know they're really handy, and they can obviously help you, but they are the noisiest thing ever. It's awful. They're like bone shakers, aren't they? And when I've had to drive the van in the past with the roof on, I've felt, especially in the dark at night on a rainy evening, I'm like, oh my god, it's like a horror film, and this thing's like above me. It's like, it's awful. Listen, thank you so much for joining me today. Cheers, Carl. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you very much.
And yourself, Jake.
Thanks again, Sally.
Thank you so much for listening to Trade Talk. Make sure that you keep listening to more episodes coming very soon. And if you haven't already, do check out episodes 1 and 2. Thank you so much, and we hope to see you soon.
Trade Talk, powered by Travis Perkins.